This project was made using the items in your goodie bag. You need the Vintage Basics kit, which is the Spring Garden. It's by Simple Stories, along with the 2 other pattern papers, the sticker sheet, a chipboard piece, and some ribbon. The tool I used for this project is a paper trimmer. I used a score buddy. You need some sort of way to score. A scissors, tape runner. I used score tape, a pencil, bone folder, ruler. I used a border punch, a scalloped one, and a notch punch. You can use a circle punch if that's all you have. To begin, you need a plain piece of paper out of your basics kit. You can choose whatever color you would like, along with the chipboard piece. We need to cut our plain piece of paper in half. So we need 6 inches. And the other half we can set aside. Then we need our chipboard piece. And this should be 4 1/4. I'm sorry, mine's a little larger, so I will trim that. Your chipboard piece will be 4 1/4. And we need to trim it at 5 1/2. Two 1/4. And 2 1/2. And because I want to see this pretty blue, I'm going to turn it over. And then we're going to lay our pieces on here. So the smallest one is in the middle. And I want my margins on each side about equal. But I also need to allow space in between here so that the paper can fold up. I'm going to use these grid lines to get my paper straight. What I like to do is sort of start these, but don't pull them all the way across, because then once it grabs to the paper, you don't have a choice where it's going to lay. So again, we want it about equally enough, the same amount on each side. So that looks pretty good. Now that I got it initially stuck down, I can reach in and pull these off. And lay it down. And then we'll do the same for the next one. So I'm going to use this edge as to where I want it and leave about 1/8 of an inch between the 2 chipboard pieces. That is not straight. And then the last piece. And I'm going to leave about the same amount of space there, lining it up on the bottom. I'm going to take my bone folder and go around all my chipboard pieces. And in between the two. I take the longest edge and fold it up. And then I use my bone folder to burnish it. And do the same for the next one. And then we'll put some adhesive on there. Before I do that, I need to cut my corners. So we want to leave, about 1/8 of an inch from the chipboard to the end. I can remove my adhesive and press it down. Okay. And again, I will just burnish that, making sure it's got a good secure there. So we're going to bring up these ends. And what we want to do is kind of tuck in these edges here. So it's just tucking in that corner. And we'll put some tape on the end here, along with the other one. So I'll trim that extra off. And then press that down, along with the other side. And again, burnishing that down. Now I'm going to press really well into those corners so they don't leave a big lump there. Now you need to measure the distance here that you want to cover. and I want my next piece of paper centered, so I'm going to cut it at 10 inches by I think I'll do 3 1/4. 3 3/4 rather. Yes, 3 3/4. So I need 3 3/4. I believe I said 10, yes. These we're going to use later, so we'll just set them aside. Don't throw them away. And then this piece is going to lay right on there. So we need to put adhesive on the back of that. I'm going to run one down the middle. And this one I'm going to try and get on straight. So I'm not going to pull this adhesive all the way off. Let's go that way. Want it about like so. Now I can pull that adhesive off. Go further, press it down. And we need to find our separate pieces. We'll do that to it. And this is going to be our base. Okay, now we need to make our base pages, what our pages will attach to. So we need 4, 3 1/4. I'm confusing you. We need a 3 1/4 and another 3 1/4. And yet another 3 1/4. And let's cut this one to 3 1/4. Okay, our smallest piece is 1 1/4. And we need 1 3/4. And then 2 1/4. And 2 3/4. This has my ID strip on there, but we'll go ahead and cover that later. Then bring out your score pal or whatever you're using to score with. We need to score a 1/2 inch from on the long edges. So this, the biggest piece, will be at 2 1/4. And then just to make it easier, I'm flipping it around and we're 2 1/4. So each one gets scored 1/2 inch from the long edge. Same thing with this one. Not sure which way that shows up better. Let's try this one. So this piece is 2 1/4, so we need to go to 1 3/4. And next, it's only 1 3/4, so this needs to be 1 1/4. And then the little one goes down to 3/4, and I spun it around, and 3/4. So this little spot is quite small in the middle here. And we're done with this one for a while. And because this one is so narrow, I'm using my narrower tape. Just going to put that on there. And then it's going to be placed on the next largest. And we want that basically in the middle here. So it looks like this now. And then we're going to adhere the next one. That goes to the next largest. And then the last one. Now I didn't like how that edge was coming out here, so I'm going to trim it so that this edge is flush. This side is good. Maybe a little bit on the inside. Then to just reinforce it, if you happen to have a tiny attacher, I did staple it in the middle. Then we are going to adhere it to our base album. And you want that centered left to right and top and bottom. The left to right is the most important. And I want this simple stories towards the back. Like so. Okay, so now our base is done and we can move on to the papers.